Hello, everyone from around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is ASE the Pair. Today we're going to be doing something quite fun. We're going to be I'll be starting coverage of a AS 1 versus 1 tournament. It's a no noobs nomad tournament. I'm going to basically this stream, I'm going to go over the rules. I'm going to go over the structure of the tournament, and then we'll do the first match. I'll cast the first match just like that. Um, Hope everybody gets to enjoy this tournament. You know, the registration is already closed. It's only AS players, but I think it'll be a lot of fun for everybody involved, and I hope that the viewers will enjoy the games. And seeing some coverage of it. Um, let's take a look at the rules because those are pretty important. So. First up for each game, it's Nomad, standard rules. It's arena map and it's best of three games. Um, so it's best of three matches. And so they're one versus one with tournament play on. Their secret random land map and map size arena. And you can pick your nations, but each player gets to ban five nations. So that sets a pretty interesting dynamic. Um, and those five nations can't be used by the opponent at all for the best of three, and you announce it when you play. So, and also you cannot repeat nations. So, if I were to pick, if I, you know, if I know my opponent is really, really good with British, then perhaps British would be a good ban, or that sort of thing. But you ban five nations. It's pretty similar to, I think it's the ELO Legends format, if I remember correctly. I don't play much standard, so I haven't really been keeping up. But it's with Nomad this time. It's one versus one Nomad, which is a pretty interesting format that I don't think has been explored very much. In-game rules, you just can't capture cities while you're in age one, and you can't use the rare glitch. And drops are just based on what the players agree to essentially, because we're all AS players, we're all pretty friendly amongst each other, especially so. I don't expect anything wrong to go there. Tournament rules, everybody has to have their AS tag in their name according at the beginning of the match. Um, and Yeah, I'm going to be casting them. The matches go by once a week, if I understand correctly. So it's pretty fast the turnover rate. But because I intend to solo cast these, I figured I can just be I can cast these whenever I want to. So again, quickly go over the rules. One versus one, Nomad game, tournament play on, secret random land map, and arena map size. You can pick your nations, but each player bans five nations first, and you can't repeat nations, obviously. All right, let's take a look at the tournament structure. So we've got two stages here. There's the Swiss, and then there's the playoffs. So the Swiss, actually here, we can look through all the players here. The Swiss is the first stage. Basically, how Swiss works, if you've never heard of it, is every round, each player is matched up with another player with the same record. So at first, everybody's 0-0, right? Because they haven't played any games. So everybody's just matched up randomly. And then after that, the 1 and O's, the players who won the first round, are matched up randomly against the other 1 and O's, and the 0 and 1's are matched against 0 and 1's. So if you won your first round, you'll be play for the second round, you'll be playing against somebody who also won their first round. If you lost your first round, then the second round you'll also be playing against somebody who lost their second round. Fairly straightforward there. Um, it's a little tricky actually on the tournament website to see the pairings, but if we go ahead and look at upcoming matches, it's actually going to be just these first four here. So the first round matches are Mad Duelist X versus Sermon, Duzzles versus Spiridon, Eat the Bear versus Xano, and Psychologist versus Vinny. So these are randomly generated, and then after that, you'll see some extra matches here below that. Those are just because we haven't put in the updated scores yet for any of the completed matches. Once we get all four matches completed, the tournament website will automatically generate new round two matches that are that are randomly designed and we're matched up against the correct record. So I guess I'll give my thoughts in each of these matchups. So we have. I'll go through all of the players once, and then I'll talk through the matchups. So we've got Mad Duelist X. This is Namilo. He's been on my team for Nordic Classic. He's been doing a really great job improving. I think we've especially throughout the tournament, we've really been seeing him doing really well. Um, I think he has his weaknesses here and there, and he's working on improving those. Um, but I'm excited to see what sort of strategies he'll bring to the table. Next up, we have Sermon, who's a very seasoned AS player. It's Sermon and Spiridon; they're the leaders of AS Clan. Sermon's very seasoned. He's a very good player. I would put my money on him to win the tournament outright personally, because he is very good. But I will say he hasn't been playing as much Nomad lately because he's been busy and such. So maybe that will make a difference. Um, we have Duzzles next. Duzzles was on my team for Nomadium 2. He's a really solid player. Um, I think I think with Duzzles, you can expect to see some really strong pushes, and some really aggressive play early. He's very good at that. Um, and then we have Spiridon, who's a pretty solid player himself. Um, Spiridon has actually been practicing a good amount of one versus one Nomad, compared to the rest of us who usually just play team games. So I think Spiridon will have an edge in terms of experience of one versus one there. We have Eat the Pear myself. Can't really say much about myself. I think I've improved, question mark. But I'm still learning, still trying to gain an edge. We have Xana, who I hadn't played with much up until the start of the tournament. Um, and as I understand, Xana recently joined AS, so welcome to AS. We're always happy to celebrate a new member here. And Xano, I'm not 100% sure of skill level, but we'll have to wait and see. We've got Psychologist, who I think is on the slightly lower end here, but still a solid player. I don't know. I don't know if Psychologist has been playing a ton in these last couple weeks, but was a solid player in the past, and I imagine will continue to be. And we have AS Vinny, who's also a new member. Welcome to AS. Vinny hasn't been playing Nomad for very long, but he's been showing great improvements. So we'll expect to see him continue to improve during the tournament. In terms of matchups, I think in the first match I'd give the edge to Sermon, because of experience, but obviously don't count Namilo out there. For the second match, I'd say it's a coin flip. I give the slight edge to Duzzles, but it's hard to say. Third match, won't say anything, because I don't really know Xana's level. And fourth match, I think I give the slight edge to Psychologist here, just a little bit more experienced than Vinny is, but I'm not underestimating Vinny's power here, and I'm excited to see some matches. So today we'll actually be casting Psychologist versus Vinny. I have those replays here. Um, Unfortunately, I never got a hold of the all of the bans, so we won't actually know what was banned. But I think the players just picked some nations that I wouldn't. Well, you'll see when we get into the games. Um, so after the Swiss, I believe we're having 3 rounds of Swiss. After the Swiss, what'll happen is we'll go to a top 4 playoff, and basically this is just single elimination, still best of 3. Um, Yeah, and I see in the chat, Vincent Medina. Is that Vinny? I'm not actually 100% sure if that's Vinny or not. If it's Vinny, hello. If it's not Vinny, also hello. Sorry, I thought you were Vinny. Um, anyways, so yeah, that'll be exciting. I expect this tournament to be over pretty soon because there's only 8 players, and it's a week by week kind of thing. But this should be a lot of fun. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to Rise of Nations here. And let's do this. Hey, Sheer. And I see Oldie and Vinny confirmation. Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope you are doing well today. All right, let's load up game number 1 here of Psychologist versus Vinny. Alright. Oh, I don't even need to do the countdown without you old. Alright, so looks like we are on... Oh, here. The graphics lag is bugging out for a moment. Alright. Maybe I need to stay zoomed in for this. Alright, so it looks like we are on Amazon here, although the players don't know that. And let's take a look at what the players have chosen for their nations. So we've got Psychologist with Koreans and Vinny with Romans. You know, 100%, to be 100% honest, not really in love with either of these picks. I think, you know, if you're picking Koreans, it's not, you know, it's awful, but, you know, it's not awful, you know, it's not awful against, like, if you're counter picking Turks or something, but I don't know, Chief. Romans can be good, especially if you either get aggressive early or you can really make use of the wealth, which I think in this case, because Psychologist has picked Koreans, I think Vinny's going to be able to make pretty good use of it, you know, having a little bit of space to work with it. And I see Kaiserudva. Hello, welcome to the stream. Yeah, so here, let's quickly talk about the differences between 1v1 and 3v3 or 4v4, any sort of team game Nomad. So it's pretty different, the setup. So first of all, you actually, most of the time, you want to scout with more citizens. So usually you go, the minimum is 4, because if you miss a rare, you usually lose, because there's not that many rares around the map overall. And also, you know, you really want to get, you know, any rune that you get is a rune your opponent will get, right? So that's why scouting is really, really important. And so also another really important point to note is territory. You see Psychologist is kind of taking up the center of the map, and you know, given that this Amazon rainforest has control of this large +10 mountain. On the other side, you know, Vinny, he's a little starved for metal. He's only got a +6 here. I would expect him to build to the right to try and secure this mountain, because, you know, mountains are really important on this map. And also in 1v1, right? A lot of the game's about denying information, denying resources, denying your opponent really a lot of things. So, you know, that's kind of the name of the game here. Also, the games tend to not last as long. You know, if you have an advantage early, you usually just win. So, you know, there's no ally to come and save you here. It does look like we're getting off to a pretty standard start. I'd really like to see Vinny get down a tower or something there and just try to hold that, because if he holds this diamond, he's going to have a really significant wealth advantage over his opponent. There's Obsidian in Vinny's territory. That's actually pretty solid for defending if he ends up being rushed. Silk in the back, wine over here, marble, and dye on the left side. You know, oh shoot, I missed a rare. And Rise of Nations, graphics is bugging. Okay, everything's fine. All right, so we got gems also here for Psychologist. Gems is pretty good for the Koreans player here. You know, as Koreans, you can build those temples early to push territory, and you know, you get a big order advantage, which you know, Psychologist already has. He's pushing into this mountain. Maybe he can completely secure diamonds with this order push if he gets a tower there or something. So far, you know, pretty standard game. In terms of rares, I think I give the slight edge to Psychologist here. It looks like he's going to be able to secure more of his rares. Like, it's going to be hard for Vinny to contest diamonds or relics, which is way in the back, or furs. You know, Vinny has to be really active in order to raid those. Diamonds, on the other hand, you know, it can be contested. It's just Koreans with that early temple, with gems, you know, it's not entirely clear. And Vinny has a really awkward city placement here. I'm not sure if after Civic 1 he'll be able to get that city down there. So, in terms of scouting, looks like Psychologist is doing an okay job. He's gotten 4, 5, 6 scouts, actually. I think he pulled this one off. Although he doesn't actually have a library yet, which is really late. This is a very, very late library time. You really, really need it earlier. And Vinny might get the advantage because of that. Vinny's doing pretty well for himself. Hasn't clicked up on anything yet. It looks like he's saving money to go Civic 1, although he hasn't scouted any important things yet. He scouts the library time. He's like, okay, it's not finished yet, which is a good sign for me. Yeah, a bit unfortunate scouting for Vinny so far. He's going to go for Commerce 1 here and try to get his market going, get some rares going. Nice ruin there. Psychologist is also going to go for Commerce 1, so it looks like we're actually at a pretty similar speed. I will give the edge to Vinny because it looks like he's been macroing a little bit better than Psychologist. You know, Psychologist hasn't gotten the market down quite yet. Whereas Vinny has already finished his market and he's getting close enough to food for Civic 1. Pretty passive game so far. Looks like Psychologist has scouted silver but not diamonds. You know, I think this building to the right is still a pretty good spot. If you want to build defensively, you could build to the left. But I don't really think you need to do that. I think you can just build forward and get up in your opponent's face here. Looks like Vinny's finished his market. He hasn't queued up a merchant yet, but now he's going to do that. He's going to go to Silk. I think he really wants to go Civic here. And let's see, Psychologist is queuing up to Gems. Alright. Oh, and it looks like Vinny's actually going to go Mill. Okay, this is an interesting choice. So he's scouted his opponent's wood camp, right? And that's at Soul here. It looks like he's going to try and be aggressive. Honestly, I'm not in love with this choice. And the reason I don't like this choice is the best case scenario for you, right, in this spot is you catch your opponent building their second city. Yeah? Yeah. So you catch your opponent building their second city. That's the best choice. That's the best case scenario for you. Well, you catch your opponent and you like stop them from building for a while. They're Koreans. They don't have that disadvantage, right? And so I think in this case, this is not an ideal move for Vinny because, you know, also your barracks is really, really far back. If you're going mill 1, build it away up front. But it looks like he is going to use Wine and Silk, both solid barracks to use. Like at this point, what is he supposed to do now? Is he supposed to build a Hoplite or a Archer or something to slow his, you know, production down anymore? Looks like Psychologist is going to go for a city. He's actually going to bring 3 citizens, which I think he just maybe overmade citizens for some reason. This is a mistake from Psychologist. You don't really want to overmake citizens like this, especially if you're Koreans. You know, Koreans are very strong at, you know, one of their main powers is they get, what is it, 3 free citizens for their second city, which is, you know, a lot of free citizens. Really no need to build extra citizens there. At this point, I would really like to see Vinny go and raid the rares, just ignore the wood camp, because he's going to force a mill 1 eventually out of Psychologist anyways. You know, and also Psychologist can just garrison all his citizens. He has so many anyways that it doesn't really make a difference. And Vinny still hasn't scouted silver or diamonds. That's going to be really unfortunate for him. And, you know, this is the reason why you don't build back like this. Your barracks needs to be in front, so you can, you know, get to your opponent as fast as possible. And it looks like Psychologist is going to have time to go for mill 1. And now, you know, we can clearly see Psychologist is in the lead. He's at 190, whereas Vinny's still at 70 and 80. Vinny still needs to get his Civic 1 going. He's in a bit of trouble here, especially because Psychologist is using, I mean, he's using 3 wealth rares, silver, diamonds, and gems. Those are really, really strong rares. Here's the raid coming out of Vinny. It's pretty good so far. He's target firing the citizen, which is really nice work from him. You know, it's exactly what you want to do. And he's actually forced all the woodcutters away. Psychologist, I think he messed up here. Psychologist really needs to keep getting this wood so he can get enough wood for a barracks. He should actually make another wood camp at this point because he knows he should be ahead. There's no way Vinny would have Civic and Mill, and he can also tell it from the territory push just now. But he's doing a decent job microing. He's trying to harass. I'm surprised Psychologist hasn't pulled citizens to try and take out these slingers, because you can just micro around the hoplite. But whatever, he's going to go for a barracks. And so this, you know, this mill 1's definitely slowed Psychologist down, and I think Vinny definitely did a good job of trying to make it worth it. I'm not sure if it was worth it in the end, but you know, it's better than nothing. It looks like Vinny's going to go to a city to the right because he still hasn't scouted diamonds, or, well, he has scouted silver a little bit there. And it does look like Psychologist has gone for that other city in the back there. I think Vinny got 1 kill out of that. Let's look. No, he actually got 2 kills, 2 citizens kills. So that's gonna be a nice pick off there for Vinny. You know, making the best of a not super great situation. At this point, I think Vinny needs to queue up an archer, actually. He's gonna go for a science, that's fair. I think he needs to queue up an archer, and at this point, what you want to... Oh, actually, I see. Okay, Vinny queued up another heavy infantry. I think the science choice is not a bad one. What you really need to do at this point is get your food income up and get your wood income up to plus 100, and then you need to raid your opponent's rares. So clearly he's just scouted gems. Your opponent's probably using that. Your opponent's probably also using silver. You gotta send some units over there, and you gotta make sure no tower goes up in diamonds. But obviously Vinny hasn't seen that yet, so it's hard to prevent that. Psychologist is skimping a little bit on the military. He's gone 2 archers. He has seen that slinger from Vinny, so I would like to see him actually send another slinger out rather than just making archers. These Korean archers are pretty good, but you know, they're nothing insane. And if we compare the wealth incomes for a moment, it's plus 60 to plus 50. You know, Vinny is doing a good job keeping up in terms of wealth. This is because, you know, he's Romans. He has plus 20 off the bat, and then also he has a wealth rare. And he's using silver at this point. He's just sharing it with his opponent. Psychologist hasn't noticed yet. I will say one thing that Vinny needs to do. He needs to get his food income up. Here in this spot, you could technically skip building another woodcutter's camp, right? Especially because you know you're a little bit behind at this point. But you need another food farm. You need to get plus 100 food. What you can do is you can age and then put down your Senate, and when you get Senator, you get your next wood camp, and then that'll kind of supplement it. Plus 90 is usually good enough at this point in the game, but you really need another farm, and that's what he's going for, so nice job. He's going to click up to age. Psychologist went for Science 1 before aging, so he's going to use that. And Vinny's actually just going to bail on that merchant there, and he's actually going to go for a raid here on this side. Looks like he lost a heavy infantry because he wasn't paying attention. I'm not entirely sure. Decent micro from both sides, but it looks like Vinny's going to come out on top. I'm not actually sure if these slingers can kill off this. No, it looks like it will. So Vinny's going to be able to raid this gems merchant. That's a nice pick off for him. Would love to see Psychologist counter raid his opponent here. It's just like, for either of these players, being aggressive is so hard. I mean, you're far away from your opponent, right? This is a pretty long break. Also, this giant river in the middle that prevents rotations. Would really love to see Vinny get more aggressive on these sides to raid these rares. Now that he's, you know, seen them especially. Looks like both players have aged, and we're going to see standard builds. Senate, University. Not sure what we're going to see. Looks like Psychologist is going to go for a stable first. And Psychologist at this point really needs to use relics. He's actually going to go for Civic 2. This is a common build we see with Koreans because it saves you food. But actually he's going to cancel Civic 2 and just go for Senate, Light Horse, queue Citizens? Yeah, queuing Citizens. So it looks like he wants to be aggressive this time and try to counteract any raids from his opponent. Whereas Vinny looks like he's just being a little bit on the passive side. He's just sitting back, which is, you know, it's fine. It's going to be really hard to break a Korean's opponent who's taking control of the center and is very far away from you. But I mean, these rares are still very exposed. Would love to see Vinny, you know, get mill 2 for quick, make some heavy cavalry and raid those. Especially because Psychologist hasn't towered this. I mean, this is a great tower spot if you're Koreans, but he's not going to do that. Looks like Vinny's going to go for Republic. I see nothing wrong with that, especially considering how far away he is. He's actually going to go to the back and try and raid. I'm not entirely sure where he's going. He's just exploring around, I guess, which is a fine use of those units. Psychologist now has a small little raiding party. And he's still not using relics, you know. It's a mistake, right? It definitely is. But, you know, he's going to get rewarded for it because there's units in the back there. He's going to try and raid with Archer and Light Horse. Don't really like this choice. If Vinny has a stable, I mean, he just queues up 2 Light Horses and you're done, right? Like, you know, this is, you lose all of your Archers. You lose any chance of, you know, making something happen. Let's see if the micro is good. Looks like Vinny's going to not micro, and he's going to lose his archer, unfortunately. And that's a bit of a tough break for him. Bribe's going to come out from the Senator, which is nice, but it's not going to catch it. And now there's 5 units here, which are a little harder to drive off than just 2. He's doing a decent job microing. He's Psychologist. I'm liking Psychologist micro. He's microing back the horse that's being bribed. And it looks like Vinny's just stalling for time. You really need a stable to drive this off. You can't just you can't just try to do it by yourself. All right, and so now the Senator's low. Vinny's gonna try and retreat it, but he might lose it. Actually, this is a big deal. 100 wealth is nothing to be taken short of. Oh, it's 100 wealth. That's really, really bad for Vinny. And now, now his wood line is completely exposed. He's in a lot of trouble. Yeah, I'm not sure what he needs to spend his resources. He's floating a lot of resources. On this side, take a look. Psychologist is also floating a lot of resources. Neither player doing a super great job at spending them. It's you just spend your resources, get mill, get your farms and stuff. But it looks like Vinny has not handled this raid well. He really, really needs a stable. That's kind of what you do to counteract this sort of raid. 2 light horses is probably enough to clean this up, especially with some infantry and your Senator coming to back you up. This is a very late stable. 14-minute stable in a 1v1 game. That's how you're gonna lose. Psychologist is admittedly no longer using gems, which is, it's good for him. It looks like we're gonna see another skirmish. This time, Vinny's gonna be able to pick off 2 of the archers, it looks like. Oh, 1 of the archers, because the other one already escaped. But, if you have light horses, you can just easily run this down. There's, no problem there. Looks like Psychologist has also gone for Senator, and he's actually going for Science 2. Not really good play there. I understand he sensed his opponent as being a little passive, but you don't need to go for Science 2. You just fill up your universities or build a wonder, and then go for your Civic 2 or Mill 2. Really no need for that. Vinny, on the other hand, is going for Civic 2. He's actually using Die, which is a really nice choice. Nice job of him to sneak that Die Merchant over. That is kind of the play you need to make when you're a little bit behind. He still has his raiding units, and let's take a look. It looks like Psychologist doesn't have anything protecting silver or diamonds. It's a bit of a mistake from him. He really needed to have units there. But he is going to go for Mill 2 now. His economy is actually not really great. Not really sure why. And for Vinny, he has his Civic 2, but doesn't have a 3rd city yet. Let's see, I'm not sure if he's building it anywhere. Okay, it looks like Psychologist is going to get the front foot out. He's going to put the city down. That's a really nice city spot. This is going to be impossible to break, especially considering these Koreans just put up like 2-3 towers there, and then it's really tough to break. This tower makes no sense here on the left side. I think he's trying to ward off raiders, but I don't know. You just get sieged from on the left side. What are you going to do? The raid continues. It looks like Vinny is going to be able to pick off this silver merchant, but he's going to lose both of these units. Not entirely sure if that was worth it. He's also really going to lose this merchant as well. And this city placement, I don't know about that. I think you actually want to, in this spot, you actually want to build to the left here so you can raid gems and or use it. But it's not ideal either way. Or you build forward if you want to be aggressive. Looks like Vinny's also going to go for Science 2. You don't need to go for Science 2 early. There's usually no reason to go for Science 2 early in the game like this. At this point, actually, I would recommend, because Psychologist is being passive, I would recommend Vinny just going for Colossus, actually, and getting another university, especially, you really want to max out your income at this point. Oh, I think I understand. He's trying to go for the city to get the mine, but that's not going to actually help. It would have been much better to get this mine over here. And we take a look at wealth and knowledge incomes. It's 81 and 75 for Vinny, and 90 and 117 for Psychologist. So Psychologist clearly has the edge there. Vinny's going to try to get aggressive with a little push here, but it's not going to work out too well. Psychologist has a Sender, 2 light horses nearby. He has the necessary defense for this sort of early raid, which admittedly isn't super great. You really expect more units at this point, and also slightly higher income. Vinny is doing a good job of maxing out. He's getting a temple, he's getting a mine. He needs needs a second caravan, he needs to get more miners, but and also another university. But he's gonna pick off that diamonds merchant. You know, it's not nothing. He's gonna pick that off, but he's gonna lose his archer and probably this hoplite in response. I'm not entirely sure. Could save them. It's not immediately clear. Looks like he's gonna lose that bowman. Not sure if he's gonna lose the hoplite or not. And now he's in a little bit of trouble. He's going for religion, which is not really a great upgrade. Psychologist is still using silver, and he's gonna go for that age soon. I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward a bit because we are just kind of sitting here. Then he is gonna go for Colossus, which is a good choice. And he's gonna go for Commerce 2 before aging, which is a bad choice. But Psychologist is just floating resources, so it's fine. Looks like Vinny went for a tower at silver, but didn't manage it. Looks like they're gonna fight it out over here. And Vinny might be able to finish that tower. Nope, they're just still skirmishing. Psychologist gets the advantage. He kills Vinny's army in exchange for Vinny getting the tower. And it looks like Psychologist just ran him over here. Vinny had no army. He's floating hundreds of resources. Oh, his army's over here, but he just... Oh, he didn't even age, unfortunately for him. And yeah, Psychologist is way ahead at this point. I mean, he pulls a militia, which you need to do in this spot, right? But he has no army. He's not even queuing units at his stable or barracks. He captures the city back, which is nice. But Psychologist's army is all upgraded. Vinny's is not. His units are in defensive mode. Psychologist is going to retreat because he recognizes, okay, well, I have a huge advantage, so I'm just going to back up. There's really no need for me to take a losing fight and then lose the game outright. Going to back up and regroup, and now Vinny's left with all militia against heavy infantry and knights. Really not the ideal composition, and I think that's going to be the end of the game, yep. I mean, the game's pretty much over at this point. Vinny's lost all of his scholars because they're militia. He's lost his entire economy. Psychologist is way ahead in tech, and Colossus is no good if you, it is no good if you can't support it with your economy. So we're gonna go ahead and fast forward. This game's pretty much over. Surprised Vinny's still holding, but a Psychologist is just gonna wipe the floor here, unfortunately for Vinny. Yep, and GGs are called. So we did see some pretty sketchy plays from both players at some point, but overall it was Psychologist with those better rares that Vinny was unfortunately unable to secure early. That gave him the advantage. In fact, Psychologist did go back and use relics at the very end. So anyways, that was game number 1. It's going to be 1-0 in favor of Psychologist here. Hope everybody's enjoying the stream so far. I wasn't really looking at the chat. Let's take a quick gander. We've got Kaiser Runda, we've got Connor Jones. Hey, how's it going? And QB. Yeah, so this is a AS Clan only tournament, but I figured you guys would want to see the coverage or enjoy the coverage of it, so we're casting it. Let's load up game number 2 here of Psychologist versus Vinny. So we did see some pretty sketchy plays that game number 1, but let's see if the players can do better. All right, here we go. Oops, sorry. We've got Chinese and Spanish. I don't know, guys. I don't know about these picks. Yeah, it's a little sus. Honestly, these are probably like 2 of the worst picks in the pool, in my opinion. But you do you. Oh shoot. All right, so let's see here. We've got Vinny with Chinese. He's going for kind of the middle-ish. This is actually old world, so because you see the rivers here. He's got a great wood camp and a nice mountain, so he'll be set for a while. On the other side, Psychologist is kind of stuck in the back here with Spanish. In this matchup, I'll give the slight edge to Chinese just because I don't know. I think Chinese have their light infantry units are really good against the Spanish heavy infantry. That's kind of what the army composition, the ideal army composition, right? You just go mass infantry plus some cavalry sprinkled in, and that gives a significant edge over the Spanish player. we're just gonna fast forward through this beginning part of the game. You know, both players are just chilling. They're gonna get their macro up. Nothing too surprising here. I don't expect to see any early mills, especially because you know look at how far away the players are. And so we can quickly talk about the rare as well. While the players are just getting their ecos going. Both players gonna go for commerce first. So for Psychologist, he's got Spice, he's got Wine. What else has he got? He's got Bison over there. And that's about it. For Vinny, Silk, Cotton, Sugar, and Horses. I think Vinny has better rares. And now it looks like we're gonna go for Science. Science for Vinny, and he's also got Civic, and Civic for Psychologist. And if you look at Psychologist's eco, it's actually pretty good. He's just missing a bit of wealth income at this point. He has his caravan already queued up, which is really nice. And as soon as that city finishes, he'll have enough. But I think this is because he overmade citizens and built another wood camp. So a bit of a mistake from him. Vinny's actually going to go after the citizen. Let's see if Psychologist saves it. He does save it. Alright. And for Vinny, Vinny really needs to get his food income up and also just kill this Silk Merchant. There's really no reason he should let it just sit there. He's going to go for a barracks first. I think you actually just need to get your food income up a little bit more. That's the ideal play. You know, you're probably already pretty fast. And your citizen's kind of just sitting here. Just get your food income up to plus 100. Don't think too much about it. But he's going to start raiding that Silk Merchant. At this point, Psychologist really needs to move this Silk Merchant, or he's resigned it to already dying. It looks like both the players slightly overmade citizens here. Yeah, I mean, put down some farms. Come on, like you're at plus 70 food income. And Vinny also needs a merchant. He's going to queue up some units, which is not a bad idea. Psychologist is finally moving that Silk Merchant. I think Vinny actually should just go kill that. This merchant just with his units instead of, you know, yeah, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna build another farm, but he needs 2 more. Yeah, 2 more if I can do my math correctly. He hasn't scouted horses yet, and he hasn't seen any of his opponent's rares aside from Spice. These citizens are kind of just sitting here. Does scout Spice here, and now he's gonna go on the raid here on the offensive. And somehow Psychologist's unit survived because Vinny queued up a heavy infantry first. Go figure. Here we've got Vinny's got a good income. He's at plus 100 now, which is really nice for him. Love to see if Vinny can find this Bison Merchant. It'll be really good for him, right? He can use it in H2, and also he can just raid it. Here we see Vinny trying to raid this Spice Merchant, I mean, but he's not going to get away with it. He's actually going to lose both of his citizens for this, which is a big loss here. Psychologist is going to go for a Civic 2, not really sure why. Thinks he can get away with it maybe. If Vinny can go Age and punish him, that'd be really good for him. But the raid is starting here. He's gotten Vinny's gotten one of each unit, whereas Psychologist is clearly favoring the mass archer strategy. Now he's going to go for a slinger because he's like, okay, actually I need to get a slinger out. Not sure where he's gonna civ, probably towards the bottom to try and protect his bison. It's hard to say. His rares aren't super great, unfortunately for him. He's gotten Spice and Wine. Both food rares, both knowledge rares, both solid, but nothing insane compared to his opponent, who's gotten a wealth rare with Silk, a great rare with Sugar, and also horses in the back, though he hasn't scouted it, and also Cotton, which is helpful. It's gonna be hard to keep up. It looks like Psychologist is gonna go for that city at the bottom there. Looks like Vinny has lost an archer there, and he's actually gonna move these heavy infantry back over to the right to try and, I don't know, but some spotty micro decisions here, unfortunately. And yeah, this is a slightly awkward barracks spot. I mean, any spot would be really awkward because of this giant mountain in the middle. Given that Psychologist went Civic 2, I think Vinny really wants a spot that he can attack, right? A nice front. And I think this front at the top is probably the best one. Looks like somehow... Oh, okay, never mind. I thought Vinny was going to pick off a archer with a hoplite. Still skirmishes happening. Looks like Vinny's getting the better end of the trades, kind of, somewhat. He's gonna age, actually. I think this is a spot where you can either just throw down your Colossus or just get go for like a rush. And you know, this is a standard build. Senate University, no problem there. He still hasn't scouted forces, which is unfortunate for him, but I mean, can't blame him. Usually 1v1 maps are a little bit more sparse in terms of rares. Psychologist is gonna get close to age eventually, and let's speed it up a little bit. Let's see what's gonna happen. Looks like Psychologist is just chilling. So is Vinny. Alright, and so now we're going to see some more raids from Vinny. He's gotten his light horse now. He's got a stable, so he's not going to be caught as unaware as last time. He's gotten Senator. Needs to spend his resources. Given you that you're trying to just spam some citizens, which it looks like he did. Nice work from him. Would love to see him go for mill 2 and just get aggressive early, really. Just punish your opponent for not making units and force them to make units, you know? Interesting mine position. He's going to go for that bottom one as opposed to the top one, which he could protect with the tower, I guess. And he's got... Psychologist is doing a decent job. He's got an archer over here. For Vinny, he's going to go for a mine at the front, which makes no sense. He has this giant one here. You don't need any more than +10. This is kind of an unnecessary mine. But he's going to go for mill 2, which is going to be really nice for him. So, like looking at his rares, he's got sugar, he's got cotton. Those are pretty solid aggressive rares. Nothing insane, especially. But he does have the only wealth rare on the map, so that's going to be nice. He is a little short on knowledge rares. If you look at the knowledge income, Psychologist is leading. He has +20, whereas Vinny has, let's see, he's got +35 because he's built a bunch of scholars. He's going to go for Archer upgrade. He's getting a siege factory. You know, this is a tough position to break. If he does have a lot more army, he could just sit right here and then eventually win, but Psychologist could just research attrition. Looks like we haven't seen, I don't see any towers from Psychologist yet, especially in the back. This is a really vulnerable wood camp. A little bit of greedy for him to, you know, go for to leave that there without a tower. Looks like Vinny's going to get a little lucky. He's going to pick off this hoplite here. Whereas on the other side, Psychologist sees the army size. Looks like we're going to see Republic from both players. Yep, he's going to pick it off, and Psychologist really needs to move this archer in. He's going to save it. There's going to be another nice pick off for Vinny. He's going to take out this Bison Merchant, which is going to be nice for him. See if he's queued up sieges. He has queued up sieges. And this looks to be a pretty promising push. You know, he's gotten a decent-sized army. That's pretty strong. He's gotten some sieges. It's a little far away, admittedly. Does he have a temple at the front? He does have a temple at the front. And I think here he could actually benefit from just using this Bison Merchant. And Psychologist really needs attrition at this point. It's going to be hard for him to get enough units out fast enough. He doesn't even have mill 2 yet. So I expect to see Vinny taking this city shortly unless Psychologist does something different. Vinny needs another siege, but it's alright. And I think he's actually slightly over making light horses. In general, you don't want to make too many light horses if you don't know what you're doing with them. If you don't, you know, if you don't feel comfortable microing super duper fast or anything. I'd like to see Vinny either put down another university or queue up some more archers. But he is going to siege, which is good for him. Psychologist has a much smaller army. I mean, compare army sizes. It's like a quarter the size. Doesn't have militia yet either, or he doesn't have enough money for allegiance. Gonna go for a second barracks, which I don't really know. He's gonna go for militia. If Vinny wants to take the city, he needs more units, but he can force a militia pull, which would be good. And this is kind of the disadvantage of going civic too early like this. It's just, you know, you got some extra wealth income, but now your opponent's pounding on your door with a big army and you've got nothing. So, you know, kind of the disadvantage there. Knowledge incomes are 70 to 45, 58 to 53 in terms of wealth. He's going to go for a city on the top side. It looks like this is just so he can get another front, which is an interesting choice. But this is the problem. He should have gotten the siege out earlier, so now Psychologist has had time to formulate a defense. He's going to go for allegiance and militia. He's got a tower up, and it's going to be hard for Vinny to really make a push now because of attrition. Psychologist still skipping that mill 2 there. Vinny's going to go for a charge. I'm not sure how this is going to work out. The city is almost reduced, and he does have a much larger army, and there's only a couple militia here. But the longer this fight goes on, the better it is for Psychologists. You know, all these units that are damaged and weak. Looks like Psychologist is doing a slightly better job of microing. Oops. Sorry, we're having some house issues here. And it looks like the siege is going to continue, but I'm not sure if Vinny can actually hold the city anymore. He lost a lot of units. Psychologist admittedly did too, but you know, archers are not very good against militia. Let's be 100% clear. And Vinny hasn't been streaming in reinforcements either, and he's actually going to lose this fight pretty badly. Don't get me wrong, he is still, I think, slightly ahead. He did kill a couple of units there, but he lost a lot of his army. He lost a lot of his tempo advantage. Really needs to get himself back up and going. He's going to get a nice pick off here on some archers. That's going to be nice, especially with this light horse. Psychologist doing a decent job microing them backwards. He's going to lose this slinger to attrition, which is unfortunate. At this point, I would love to see Vinny get up another university and some more production buildings. Also max out his food income. For some reason, it's not quite at 150. Unfortunately, he still hasn't scouted, what do you call it? He still hasn't scouted forces in the back there. And Vinny's going to go for Colossus. That's an interesting choice. Nothing wrong with that. You know, spend your resources. He's going to go for taxation as well. And he's going to go for commerce too. Friends, so... You know, my fellow AS clan members, don't go commerce 2 in 1v1 before aging. You always want to age first. And it looks like Vinny has actually canceled that. He's heard me from the future, and nope, he's gonna go back. Cancels? Go back? He's not. It looks like he's not entirely sure what to do. Yeah, don't go commerce 2. If you have the space to maximize your economy, you should put down a wonder or something. You know, if your opponent's gonna let you get to plus 200 economy, you know, you can make use of it otherwise. You don't need to spend your knowledge in commerce 2 this early. You'd much rather go for an age. It looks like Vinny's gonna go for science 2, again delaying his age. He's not actually canceled the commerce 2 that he eventually did. Really needs another university here. Like really needs it. He's gonna go for phalanx upgrade. So it looks like he's not gonna try to age anytime soon. Actually, he's gonna queue up some more phalanx and light horses. You guys need some more sieges. At this point, sieging from the top would be a great spot, and also Psychologist is kind of suffering in terms of territory. He really needs a temple at this front city here. And, you know, for Psychologist, like, what use is this commerce 2? The only thing he's gotten so far is 2 extra food income and also another caravan, which admittedly isn't bad. Looks like Vinny's going to take a fight here. He's going to use forced march, but his senator's not forward, but he is doing a nice job. And Psychologist is going to have to retreat. This is going to be a really nice army raid, especially. I don't think Vinny needs to take a city here necessarily, but he's doing a really nice job. He is going to go for that commerce 2 at the end. And he is going to get up another university, which is going to be nice for him. Would like to see him sell a bunch of his metal, which it looks like he is doing. I'm actually not sure what he's selling. But he needs age. He can't push in at this point. You know, he's only got a single siege, and he doesn't have a supply wagon, obviously, because he hasn't aged. In terms of knowledge and wealth income, Psychologist at 70 and 87. Vinny's got 109 and 65. So, you know, much more wealth income for Vinny. He's got taxation, I believe, which is what's making a big difference. Excuse me. And that Colossus is going to help out in the long term as well. Vinny losing some units to militia there, a bit unfortunate. And, you know, this is why you need another siege. If he had another siege, he probably could have taken the city, but now he's reduced to a very slow push. And Psychologist actually has a third caravan going, whereas Vinny does not. If you're going to go Commerce 2 like this, you need to use that third caravan. That's kind of one of the biggest benefits. Vinny is getting his knowledge income nice and high, though. Neither player seems intent on raiding each other. You know, a single head horse archer could do a lot of damage, especially considering I don't think these players have shown a great job of, microing or anything like that. Vinny loses a siege to the tower. But Psychologist doesn't have many units here. Vinny's still burning, though. But I think he's done a good amount of damage. If he gets up, at this point, he should get up another university. Looks like that's what he's going for. Yeah, nice choice. He can outboom his opponent at this point because he has Colossus and his opponent does not. Although his opponent could go for Hanging Guard, in which case, you know, it's a different story. Looks like we are going to see a raid here from Psychologist. It's going to be a horse archer in the back, and he's also going to try and use horses because I think he's seen his opponent hasn't scouted it. It's a very sneaky play. You know, you always want to be on the lookout for plays like that. And that single horse archer has panicked Vinny into making a tower here. Bit of a mistake. Just, if you see a single horse archer, send a light horse. I mean, that's the counter, right? That's straight up counter. And now it looks like Psychologist is going to get aggressive on his own. He's going to bring out 2 sieges. He still hasn't scouted the city yet, which is a bit of a mistake, but he's going to do that. And Vinny somehow lost all of his food income because I don't know why. I think he made some citizens. I'm not entirely sure. How did he spend his money? I don't know. But suddenly it looks like Psychologist could be ahead here. He's going to go for a siege of the city of Xi'an. There's plenty of time to get back there, which is good for Vinny. But there's no defenses. There's just a temple, that's it. At this point for Vinny, I'd recommend... well, yeah, it looks like he's going to go for Granada. It looks like they might be trying to trade here, and Vinny's probably going to get the better end of that. Now, Horse Archer still was not picked off, which is a bit unfortunate, and Vinny's food income is really suffering. I'm not really sure why it's so low. I think it's because he pulled all these citizens off the farms. He's going to go for a tower there, but that's not going to work out. And Psychologist is going to push on the bottom here. And again, Vinny is caught without enough sieges. He needs another siege or 2. I mean, he has the resources for it. Looks like he's going to go for a fight, but it's kind of hard fighting with attrition here. All of his units are burning. And it's not like he can just take the city straight up afterwards. He needs to win the fight decisively and then take the city. It's like I'll just chill in there with the Horse Archer. The city Xi'an's, you know, it's big, and it's trying to use the city with a temple, but it's going to take a while, and it's going to take a while to, you know, to get big, but you know, after a bit, it will. Looks like Vinny's going to take a fight here, and it looks like to be a good one. He's got his opponent outnumbered. His siege is just chilling. He still have more sieges. Still needs another caravan, actually, but his knowledge income's really good. 110 and 153 wealth income. That's also really good. If he can hold this advantage for a little while, he could be doing really well. And oh no, oh no. This mill 3. I don't know about this, Chief. I don't know about this. And this is a bit of a mistake we're seeing from all the players, really. It's just not spending your resources. We can see Psychologist is floating a ton of resources. He could be using that on spending it, increasing its eco, you know, replacing those miners. He could be putting down markets and stuff. Actually, he has 3 markets. Never mind. Scratch that. You know, he could be making more units, like horses and stuff, but he's not spending his money, which is a big deal. Vinny, on the other hand, he's doing a slightly better job, but, you know, he also needs to spend his money. I expect Vinny at this point, he needs to get another barracks and another stable. This is kind of what you do when you have excess timber, aside from, you know, putting markets down if you don't have them already. Vinny's going to go for another push here. Medieval Age finishes for Psychologist. I think he can win in this fight, actually. If you look at Vinny's army composition, he has way too many heavy cavalry. You really don't want heavy cavalry against Spanish, generally. Like, you want to skimp on it as much as you can. And it looks like Vinny's not paying attention. He's going to lose some horses. But he does take the city, which is nice for him. He's going to get all of his upgrades, and he's going to go for a barracks now. He's going to lose the city momentarily. Actually, he's probably going to lose, just straight up lose. All these light horses are causing a lot of havoc in Vinny's units. Really awkward time to be taking a fight like that. You know, but he is way ahead in tech, or way ahead in knowledge and wealth. I mean, 167 knowledge compared to the 64 of psychologist. That is one of the powers of Colossus, you know. And I know why Vinny's making... Oh, never mind, he's Chinese. Sorry. Sorry, Vinny. Sorry I doubted you. I'd like to see a science... Either a science or a mill. Probably a mill just to be safe, because you know you're ahead of your opponent, because he hasn't aged yet. Vinny needs a castle as well, so you can get armor upgrade. But aside from that, he's doing well. You know, I don't mind the slight inefficiencies on farms because you know you've got Colossus, so it's not like you need the population. But he needs a larger army at this point. He's doing an okay-ish job producing. This is one thing that I see players not doing really enough. They have a bunch of resources floated up, and they're like, oh, why do I can't spend my money, blah blah blah. The reason you can't spend your money is because you're not doing a good job producing from your buildings. You really need to just be producing from your production buildings basically all the time, or as much as you can, unless you're doing a good job teching. We saw in a game actually, Vinny's going to take a really nice fight. He's going to pick off a bunch of units with, what is it, 7 knights? That's really nice for him. And he's actually going to go for Trebuchet upgrade, which I think this spot is a good choice. Usually, you know, Trebuchets are much better than regular sieges, regular catapults, I mean. And I think it's a really good choice for him to go like this. He should max out on his scholars, though, because he has a bunch of extra wealth. Would expect to see literacy upgrade come out soon. For a psychologist, he's going to go for teching. He's gotten mill 3. He's actually going to go for tactics as well, which is nice. His army can probably, assuming he's equal-sized armies, he can probably very easily fight Vinny's. Especially considering Vinny's army composition. I mean, again, he's got a lot of knights. Vinny is going to go for literacy, nice work, and he's going to go for castle at the back here. 3 sieges for psychologist plus trebuchet upgrade. He's actually got 2 siege factories, which I don't really know why, but he is. And it looks like his wealth income is actually skyrocketed to 137, and Vinny's has gotten to 173. Vinny needs to make more units. He's going to lose his city of Xi'an here at the top if he, if he's sitting back too much. He's going to go for a lumber mill upgrade. And again, this is one of the advantages of having more sieges. You just destroy cities more. Then he's going to hit the alarm, which I don't think you need to do. I think you just need to make more units. He's going to take the city of Granada once again. And he really needs another siege. Honestly, if Vinny just pushed in from this point, I think it would be an easy victory for him. But he's going to take the city of Granada. We'd love to see him start raising these buildings, these economic buildings, and also send his army back top. Because he really doesn't want to lose the city of Xi'an. You know, that's where his half-finished castle is. That's where a bunch of farms are, the university, his wealth, his caravan route. But he is going to lose it. And that's a nice move from Psychologist. Still not spending his resources super well. He does have a bunch of production buildings, but he's not doing a great job producing from any of them. But, you know, this game looks about even. Vinny pulls the militia, but he's going to lose his scholars for that. Really poor choice there. I mean, that's his advantage, right? Aside from Colossus, obviously. But you don't auto-win the game because you have Colossus. You win the game because you have Colossus and you have better tech and better income and a larger army. And he's just sitting here with some of his army. I'm actually not sure where all of his army went. Yeah, I don't really know. Psychologist is taking great trades here because Vinny's sending in his troops one by one. And actually, if you see here, Psychologist has actually surpassed Vinny in score, interestingly enough. But Vinny is making the best of the situation. You know, he's going to continue sieging from that side, going to force a rotation backwards. And he's going to lose the city, or Psychologist is going to lose the city. But Vinny's still just marshalling his troops one by one. This is one of those big blunders that I see a lot of players doing. Walking in your troops one by one means you're literally throwing away hundreds of resources. Like, this is like 400 resources worth of units that he's thrown away at this point. Not even including the scholars, which admittedly there were a lot of. He's just thrown away a lot of units. And so now it looks like Psychologist is actually way ahead. I mean, his economy was hurt definitely by losing that city, but it's not too terrible for him, right? He's gotten the second city up in the back. He's going to be able to put out some farms and stuff. Yeah. So, I know this is a really awkward situation for Vinny here. He's going to lose the city. And again, this is just like, it's one of those things, like, you're just not producing from your buildings. You need to constantly produce from your buildings. And that's kind of why Vinny's losing on that front. He is doing a decent job just causing havoc on the other side. You know, he can put pressure on Madrid, especially, and force a rotation backwards, but this castle is going to get denied barely. Really unfortunate for... oh, actually, it's gonna go up for Vinny. A bit of a mistake from Psychologist there. I'm not really sure what he was doing with his Scutari. But now that castle's going to go up, and that means spies. Nice choice from Vinny there. The city of Tunzo is still getting sieged. Vinny still has no army. He can just infinite queue like light cavalry or something. I don't really know what he's up to. Looks like Vinny has taken the score advantage once again. And looks like we're at a moment's peace. Although there's still raids happening on this side. Vinny just being as annoying as possible. Psychologist has lost a good amount of economy to this. He's going to put up a temple at his capital. And he's probably going to force a rotation. Actually, at this point, honestly, if Vinny continued making units, he could probably just fight both armies, right? Or fight from both sides. You know, siege the city of Madrid on this side, and then fought off his army on this side. If he has a fort, which he does, on the top side, yep. He get a light infantry based army, light infantry, heavy cavalry, or light infantry, heavy infantry, and then just easily wipe this army out because it's not really that large. Psychologist is also doing the thing where you pour in units one by one and they eventually die. Although currently they're just sitting back, which is a good choice for him. Psychologist's income is very non-existent. Vinny still has no units. He's not making units very well. Needs another barracks. You need to actually make units, which now he's going to queue up some units. His economy is still really good compared to his opponent, although his opponent does have a better knowledge income despite having literacy for Vinny. Yeah. Skirmishing on this side. Psychologist is going to try to snipe sieges, and Vinny's not paying attention, so he's going to lose those. He does have some army now. Honestly, if Vinny goes back and just masses scholars, I think he wins this game pretty easily. The Psychologist's economy is really bad at this point. He has 4 cities, but I mean, look at the economy. He's at 100, like 40 metal income. But Vinny needs to gather his troops. He does have a pretty large army, but I'm not sure if he's gonna make it in time to save his city from the sack at least. Looks like Psychologist is just content to let him sit there for a little while. And Vinny's gonna start producing scholars again, which is a good choice from him. Yeah, Vinny has way more units. He can just easily just walk in Xi'an and retake it. And then, at that point, he'll be ahead. The territory thing is a big deal in 1v1. Although, we say Psychologist still using this horse merchant. Vinny still scouted it, unfortunately. Because why would he? At this point, he thinks there's nothing there. Looks like Vinny's going to attack move. He's going to try and snipe a siege, which there's really no point to. But his army is much larger, so he should theoretically have the advantage. Although these Scutari are really, really good at wiping out all of Vinny's cavalry. Not really sure why he's... Yeah, I guess he could pull back to the tower. There's only 2 knights here from Psychologist, so... Vinny should theoretically get the better trade in the long run. If he just stands and fights, honestly... yeah, he threw away a lot of knights, it looks like. There's actually a lot of cavalry here for Psychologist. I'm no longer certain if Vinny can win this fight. No, he does lose the city, and that's because he's not making units. Yeah. Psychologist has been reinforcing, but Vinny has not. At least all the Scutari now are picked off, so Vinny should theoretically get the better trade against all these crossbows. Right, because Psychologist no longer has any cavalry, should be able to get this city back momentarily. Yep. Let's take a look at how close each player is to aging. Kind of close and kind of close. Vinny's economy was definitely hurt by losing that city. You know, losing all those caravan routes definitely hurts him for quite a while. But he's going to be able to pick off a large portion of Psychologist's army here. And his fort's still alive. Looks like we'll see a nice bribe from Psychologist, but I mean, he's pretty behind at this point. Doesn't have literacy, has a bunch of scholars. He has 4 cities, you know, it's good. But it's still going to be tough because Vinny does have a lot more units at this point. Yeah. 2 more bribes coming out. Vinny does not have a scout, and he's actually going to lose a fight. I'm not really sure how that happened. I think it's again because he's just not producing units. When you have 1,000 timber, spend it, dude. Come on, put down a barracks, put down, you know, sell it, buy it by scholars, that sort of thing. He's gonna walk militia through attrition. Not an ideal play. Looks like both sides are using spies, and neither side has an explorer. Pretty amusing there. Oh, Vinny has a scout now, but it's not upgraded. Scouts actually suck. They're really, really bad. You should always use the explorer. Looks like he might get away with actually these spies. This one might die. Looks like Psychologist is just doing a much better job microing. Vinny looks like he's just attack moving, so yeah. The bribes are gonna go down, the scout's not in place. Bribes, really nice play from, you know, really nice bribes. And now Psychologist does have a scout out, so he's going to be able to kill the spies easily. And Psychologist has once again taken the point lead. That's because Vinny's just not trading very well at all here. And now he's going to lose a lot more units here to his cavalry. I don't know. So here's one tip. So what you want to do with an army that fires volleys, right? Like these units fire volleys, also crossbows. There's a command for hold position. I think that's halt. For me, it's H, basically. And basically, you want to like hit halt. You want to run back and then hit halt. Oh no, this is terrible. What a this is so bad. You basically want to run backwards, hold halt, and then you can start moving again. Because what happens is, if you hold halt, all your archers will fire, and then you walk away. And then that's your way of fighting, basically, in Rise of Nations. That's the strategy. It's a little painful for me to say it, but I think, you know, even though Vinny was way ahead, like incredibly ahead in the early game, I think Psychologist might have this game, because it looks like he's been outplaying Vinny for the last, like, 5 to 10 minutes here, despite like a significant disadvantage. He's gonna siege the city of Granada again. Vinny has no sieges. He's really hurting from metal. He doesn't have a smelter. Still nowhere close to aging because he hasn't been saving food. Neither Psychologist, admittedly. You know, they both have the knowledge, but not enough food. Looks like they're going to trade cities once again. They're going to trade back their original cities, although still Vinny has no sieges. You can't trade cities if you don't have any sieges. These fire lancers are also shooting at the city, which is not going to do anything. Psychologist is burning an attrition hero, and he doesn't have any infantry, but, you know. Granada's there ripe for the taking. Psychologist is going to go for literacy now. He does have the money for it, which is a good choice. Literacy is really important. Although, at this point, I think Psychologist is probably scratching his head, wondering why Vinny hasn't aged, and I'm also scratching my head. Vinny's going to go for Civic 3 instead of aging. Okay, so the question is, at this point, who's ahead? So technically, Psychologist is ahead in terms of score, but I think that's just because Vinny's been taking bad trades. It's not immediately clear that he is ahead. So let's take a look at the income. So we've got 121 wealth income, 121 knowledge income, whereas higher for Psychologist. Vinny does have Civic 3, which means he could get Vassalage, right? That's that upgrade. He does not have a Smelters. Metal income is very similar, actually. 120 to 100. Neither player... Well, it looks like Psychologist has a... No. It looks like Psychologist does have a Smelter, but Vinny does not. And it looks like they traded City. They're going to trade cities again. Vinny has a small detachment on the bottom side. Honestly, Vinny, if you just mass your units and just pushed into any city, really, you would win easily. That was advice 10 minutes ago. I don't know if that still holds true for now. Still very far off from aging. Just again, when you're close to aging like this, you shouldn't be spending food. Basically, you really need to age. That's how you get a significant advantage. That's why you're amassing all this knowledge. Psychologist is still using this Horses Merchant, although it's going to burn eventually. And Vinny's gone for a city in the back because he's like, okay, well, I have an extra city, why not? He needs to get more caravans, but whatever. And it looks like Granada's going to finally turn back over. Vinny doesn't have enough sieges. He needs 2 to 3 more. Two more, probably. But he is getting close to aging very soon. Finally, we'll see that coveted age upgrade. And the Psychologist has the money for it, but he hasn't clicked up on it for some reason, so he really shouldn't do that. You know, props to the Psychologist for making this a game where he's not literally just, like, this seems like an unlosable game for Vinny, but he's actually behind in score, so, props to Psychologist for making it, you know, making it fightable. Looks like we're gonna see a fight here, but I think Vinny's gonna win it. He just has a much larger army. Yeah, and he's gonna be able to take back the city of Granada pretty easily. So now it looks like Vinny's pretty much in the lead. Psychologist's gone for Mill 3 instead of aging. This game looks over, but we're just gonna fast forward a little bit and see what happens. This is Granada. Vinny gets the upgrade. He's gonna go for a night upgrade. Granary. Psychologist is aging, but I don't think he can make a... Oh, Vinny's lost all his army. Okay. Yeah, I do agree with them in the chat. It has been a good game. We're gonna see another skirmish here. Has been a good game. You know, don't get me wrong there. Vinny's gone for Monarch, but it canceled it, I think. Yeah. It looks like Vinny's actually gonna lose that fight there. And now his production's getting sieged. Well, it's not immediately clear who's gonna win here. I think my money's still on Psychologist just because it's like seemed like he's been playing better at every point in the game, but Vinny does have a very strong advantage at this point, so not perfect, mind you. You know, you clearly see Psychologist is still making blunders and stuff, but you know, to be 100% honest, I wouldn't have minded Democracy from Vinny here. Monarch's just really, you know, it's good, don't get me wrong, but against Tercios, it's really, really hard to fight it. If you get Monarch, you can heal, or if you get Democracy, you can just heal your units in your territory. And Vinny's gone for Commerce 3. He does have a really good income, but Psychologist is starting to get a massive army here. Yeah, I don't know, I mean, you know, Democracy is usually a terrible choice, usually, but, you know, given your opponent is Spanish and, you know, you haven't been doing a great job producing from your building. I mean, look at this queue, right? Like, he's got 3 units there. He needs to get more production building going. You know, it could be not a terrible choice. Psychologist is going to go for Hanging Gardens, try and keep up with the Colossus player. Looks like we're going to see more skirmishing. It looks like... I'm going to say Psychologist wins this one because Tercios are good, but it's hard to say. Yeah, it looks like Vinny's cavalry are getting shredded here. I mean, look at how much damage each hit does. And looks like Psychologist is going to pound on the door once again. And it looks like he is going to capture that city of Tanzo. Finally. So that might be the straw that broke the camel. Or that might be the end of it here. Psychologist is raising buildings. He is doing a lot of damage. Vinny can't really do anything. He only has light infantry. It's really hard to fight this Spanish army, especially in Age 4, but yeah. Psychologist needs a monarch at this point, but aside from that, he's doing great. And it looks like this game's gonna be over. I mean, at this point, Vinny's behind in knowledge and tech. His army's a little bit smaller. The opponent has tercios, so his army's just by definition a little bit stronger. So it looks like this game's going to wrap up very soon. We can quickly go over the things that went wrong for Vinny this game, or the things that he should have done to easily win, I think. So first of all, there's no reason to push. If you're going to build the city on the top side, there's no reason to push it to Granada from the bottom side. You should just push it from the top side. Second, you need to get better at producing units from your barracks and stables. Unit production's a lot. I mean, look how many resources you have in this game. You could have a bunch more units, but you're taking unfavorable trades because you haven't been making many units, and you haven't been making many units because I don't know. Sometimes it's important to micro your macro, if you will. You know, it's important, yes, to like retreat from bad fights and stuff, but Rise of Nations units don't need that much micro. You know, they don't need that much micro to be effective. Really, you just having more units is actually more important for the most part. You know, it can be good, right? You usually want to micro your cavalry separately against a Spanish opponent, but that's about it. I mean, looks like Vinny is going to take a decent trade. He's going to use his heavy infantry, but yeah, I mean, I guess this applies to both players. Neither of them are doing a super great job spending their resources. Psychologist really needs monarchy. So I think that would be the end of this game, but he's gonna keep pushing, and Vinny's really far behind at this point, not really sure what he can do. So, you know, it was pretty clear to me that Vinny had a very clear advantage the entire game, basically, and he kind of threw it away because he kept trading poorly, basically, and not spending his resources, which is unfortunate. Vinny does look like he's going to win this fight, actually. Just a continued... You know, this is kind of what you want to do. You want to continuously fight with all these heavy fire lances. Like, if your opponent doesn't get close enough with their cavalry, you know, you deal 3 damage to them, whereas they deal basically no damage to you. And that's why you want to keep trading, basically. And Psychologist isn't doing a great job of getting off the PAs or monarchy. Gonna go for a charge. He's gotten some cavalry. Pretty back and forth game, all things considered. Militia are pulled once again. Militia are not great against gunpowder units. Looks like Psychologist is going to eventually get a hold of this game. Yeah, he's got more reinforcement. His army's larger now. And that's going to be it. GG. Take a quick look at the stats here. Yeah, clearly Psychologist was leading in a lot of that at the end. And actually very similar player speeds, so, you know, props to them for that. Alright, and that's gonna be it. That's gonna be the end of this game and match here. It's gonna be Psychologist taking home the trophy here of 2-0 against Vinny. And you know, based on the performance, that seemed about accurate because, you know, we did see Psychologist very much outplaying his opponent. opponent in both games. So props to him. And Vinny obviously has some things to work on, but he had a decent showing himself, so props to them for that. All right, so that's gonna wrap up the stream for today. If you are still around, if you're still around, I might play some what do you call it? I might play some lobby games. So hope everybody's enjoyed the stream today, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Maybe I don't really know when the next thing is. I will say I think the Nordic Classics bronze match is coming to us soon, so be on the lookout for that. Anyways, hope everybody has enjoyed, and we'll see you all later.